In the custom of learning every day 3 chapters of Rambam, today we concluded the seventh Sefer of the Rambam, which is Sefer Zroim, and we're starting the Sefer of Avodah, Laws of the Beis HaMikdash. In the very last chapter of Sefer, where the Rambam deals with the laws of Shemitah and Yovel, the laws of sabbatical, the Rambam says the following. He discusses why is it that the tribe of Levites and the Kohanim, they did not receive a parcel of land when Yeshua conquered the land of Israel. And the Rambam explains, because they were designated, they were dedicated, they were chosen by God to serve God in the Beis HaMikdash, as well as being the teachers, those who are going to teach the rest of the Jewish community God's laws, and therefore they were exempt from any other responsibilities, which will be usually the responsibilities of the nation, such as going to war. Why? Because they were dedicated entirely and completely to serve Hashem and to serve the people. And therefore, we had to give Meiser to them. The community was supposed to support them. And as well, God is providing for their needs. And then the Rambam concludes the very last halacha, says something fascinating. It says, not only is it those who are actually born in the tribe of the Levites that can merit this high stature of having God's direct blessing and being completely devoted to Hashem, any person from anywhere in the world that dedicates himself and designates himself that his entire occupation should be serving God. L'deis Hashem, to know godliness. What happens then? This individual is also He's sanctified as the holiest of holies. And God will be his lot forever. So the Rambam tells us over here that if an individual chooses to dedicate himself entirely for God and godliness and the Jewish people, he's considered a holy person, and he receives the same blessings as the Levites received. And he quotes a verse that David HaMelech says, Hashem menas cholki, God is my cup, and God is my lot. Although David HaMelech was not a Kohen or a Levi. So when a person makes the sincere, total commitment to serve Hashem, he can ascend to the level of Levi. Which this brings to mind a little story that the Rebbe would often repeat in Verbrengens. The simple villager who was unfortunately illiterate in Hebrew and in Yiddish, but sincere, God-fearing, pious, honest. And that's how he lived and served Hashem. But whenever he needed to read something in Hebrew and Yiddish, which he was incapable, he would go to the local Malamed, the local teacher, the Hebrew teacher, and he would explain it to him. One day he received a letter from a faraway place. Couldn't read it, wasn't sure if it's Hebrew or it's Yiddish. He asked the Malamed to read it for him. And the Malamed starts reading, basically informing him that the father of this villager just passed away. Upon hearing this villager fainted. And the Rebbe points out, the Malamed who read it, he didn't faint. Who fainted? The one who heard it. Why? The answer is obvious. Because it was the villager's father and not the Malamed's father. So although he read it, it didn't touch him, it didn't affect him. Because he read somebody else's story. He read somebody else's experience. To the villager, it was his story. It was his experience. It was his father. Thus, he fainted. So that's what the Rambam says. That if a person makes the servitude to Hashem his experience, his full experience, his complete devotion, then he can ascend to the level of Levi. And now we understand what the pasuk says. "V'atem tiyu li mamleches kohanim v'goy kodesh." A moment will come when you will all be a nation of Kohanim and a holy nation. Why? Because in the time of Mashiach, we will all be completely devoted and committed and dedicated to serve Hashem. So we will all be Kohanim, we will all be Levim. Now, does this mean that we will serve in the temple? That's a discussion for itself. But that level of closeness to Hashem, we will all achieve. Rabbeinu Shalom, we would love to experience it today.